Hey, what's going on, guys? It's David here from Gen ZO. We are in Las Vegas, Nevada for CES. I'm here with Skylar.
How's it going?
Skylar, pleasure to meet you, man.
Good to, I guess, meet you and be here. And
Yeah, day 3. How's it been going?
CES, it's actually my first time out here, even though I live pretty close out in Utah. So I think it's been really cool. I have a friend that got to take the Tesla in the boring tunnel from one side of the convention to the other.
Got to do that yesterday, yeah.
Cool. Yes, so I think that's pretty special, that kind of stuff that people are doing, and the exhibition is really, really neat, and have gotten to meet a decent amount of people out here. Maybe less blockchain folks than sort of like Web 2 tech, traditional tech, but yeah, overall really good.
Absolutely, man. So I noticed the BitLayer hat. Are you here representing BitLayer?
That's right, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, BitLayer, we are the leading Bitcoin layer 2 blockchain. And we've grown to like 900 million TVL this year. It's been a really big year for us. We really got started early in the year and grew the ecosystem to, I guess, more than 300 projects now. So yeah, just excited for 2025.
Absolutely, man. Ecosystem is huge when it comes to, the space that we're familiar with, right?
Yeah.
So how has it been attending CES and, because I'm sure the wheels are turning, how we can bridge, what we might be doing normally to what they're doing?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think it's interesting to ask that now because like the AI agent meta has gotten so hot.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of like fresh on everybody's mind. I think mine specifically too. I've been putting a lot of research into it and figuring out, what's what in the space. So I think like giving AI the tools and the rails to be able to come on chain and transact and use like digital money, it just feels like a very natural fit. So I've been having that conversation with people. I think a lot of people in the Web2 tech space are sort of like curious about crypto space and have been for a while, but us going in cycles has kind of turned people off supposedly to really kind of deep diving it. But I think this is sort of where that merger is set to really happen and possibly explode. Like you've seen a lot of value come into the crypto AI space.
Dude, 100%. That's, kind of why we're here, right? And, we're constantly thinking how we can be a bridge for these projects, as well as how these projects be a bridge for us, and it can explode, like you're saying. It really can.
Speaking of bridging, I think that's another space where the Web2 tech world or traditional finance institutions or all these different entities like the digital asset managers are really looking to lean more heavily into blockchain space is through Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And what we found is that we've talked to a lot more people in the TradFi space, digital asset space this year because it's heated up, because it's becoming more institutional. We have, political administration that's starting to support it. We have a bunch of people in, Trump's panel, Trump's, I guess, team that are really pro crypto. And because of that, we've seen people really start to pay attention and look for solutions on how to earn yield on their Bitcoin or get, staking rewards on their Bitcoin or be able to use their Bitcoin and deploy it in these different places, but in a trust minimized way. So I think talking to more people at CES has kind of opened that up to them to really start to really consider that, because I feel like a lot of people do kind of own a little bit of maybe Bitcoin or ETH or some XRP. Lots of people own Doge. I've kind of chatted with people about what they randomly own, and but yeah, I think Bitcoin is kind of the one that everybody really wants to hold, but really wants to earn some kind of yield on, like Ethereum does with staking rewards.
Yeah. It really is about raising awareness, right? For bringing this to the eyes of somebody who maybe knows about it but doesn't know that much about it. For sure, man. I mean, one thing that I'm sure you're very familiar with is there's a lot of people who use blockchain that don't even know that they're using blockchain, right? As simple as I see somebody playing on a phone app, right? And it's they're playing to earn, and you don't even know it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I want to circle back and kind of talk about you. Kind of what is your history and what kind of got you started with all this?
Sure. Yeah. I come from a Web2 tech marketing background. So I was with Lenovo for a while, working on their product marketing team, as well as ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, doing digital marketing with them. But I kind of fell on both those opportunities because I lived out in Beijing, China for a long time. For about 10 years. And so, I mean, the Chinese economy has obviously been on the uptrend for a long, long time. There's kind of bumps in the road where people were wondering, where is the future of this? When does it slow down? But it really, hasn't really slowed down, and so there's a lot of opportunities. Actually, when COVID hit, it hit in China before the US. And so markets were still pretty stable at the time. I think global markets, US markets, because nobody knew kind of like how big it would get. But because it hit in China first, they closed down a lot of people going to work, all these kinds of things that everybody went through with later. So I had all this time on my hands where I was, kind of remote working, where I was just looking into investing and finance and all these kind of different things. And then I'd heard about crypto more generally in 2017 from some friends that were they're doing some ICO stuff, and I remember them showing it to me. We were at some bar or something like that, and they were showing me just all the money that they had been making. And I kind of put it out of my head, and then back when it came back up again in 2020, I think I came onto it through Andrea Antonopoulos, I think is his name. A lot of us, I think, onboarded through him. But basically, what happened is global markets were pretty steady. China was kind of not sure what was going to happen. Nobody was really flying in or out. And by the time I was looking into it and started investing, I actually bought almost the bottom of Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think it was 7K Bitcoin or 280 Ethereum. And so my on-ramping experience was different from everybody else's, because I feel most people get in at the end of a cycle, and then they lose a bunch of money, and then they get dismayed by it, and a lot of people don't stick around. Yeah. So by the time the COVID thing got really serious in the US, it was up right when I started putting funds in. And so I think because of that, obviously price goes up, line goes up, number goes up, helps to stay in the industry. But also I just got kind of really obsessed with the crypto punk stuff, just everything I guess the blockchain represents.
Yeah, I mean, it is a fun space.
Yeah.
And I'm sure right? It's the events are fun. Normally the people you speak to, they're creative minds, right? People who think outside the box.
Yeah, and I always say that this space has everything. It has the financial part, it has the friends part, but it also has all the drama. There's crazy drama. There's
Totally.
The political side of it. There's there's just a lot going on. So it's hard to do anything else really. I've thought about it briefly. At the bottom of a bear market, it feels this is hard. What are we doing here? But then it just feels there's no other space to be. I don't know.
Yeah. So let's go back to BitLayer. Okay. What's the future look like for BitLayer?
Yeah, it's a good question, because this has been a big year for building, and it's been definitely a crazy year for us. We grew really, really fast to the point where the team grew from 5 of us when I came on to about 70 of us now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, 34.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a crazy year for us, and all these metrics, that we've worked really hard to build, the ecosystem and the TVL and on-chain transactions. We really wanted to give it the best shot that we could to be relevant in the space. And so I think we've done a great job of that. And I've spent the year going to a bunch of conferences, meeting a bunch of people, just, really getting the word out about what we think Bitcoin can do. And I think on the other side of things, the devs have been really, really heads down building out this BitVM bridge solution that we saw as possibly the future of building stuff on Bitcoin, of giving people the option to deploy their Bitcoin into DeFi protocols, into getting yield, staking rewards, all these different things that people want to do with their asset. They want to custody their asset, but be able to get rewards on these assets. I think that's what we're finally getting to and finally building out. So we have actually our Finality Bridge testnet live, and working towards our mainnet version 2, which should be live as of Q1 2025. So that's kind of what we've been working on, where we're at currently, and I guess what 2025 looks like for us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, you mentioned events. Where's been your favorite event?
That's a good question.
I mean, because really that question can be for two things, right? What was the most productive in terms of ROI, and then also where did you enjoy the most? Maybe I think I want to know, where did you enjoy the most?
I've done a lot of the US events, gone to a couple outside of the country as well, but I think Bitcoin Nashville was the most productive, but also the craziest. I think when you get 30,000 people in one place, just the whole metrics and I guess the dynamics of how everything works is kind of crazy for sure. But I did see, like, I saw Michael Saylor walking around, I saw Martin Shkreli walking around, Robert Breedlove, right? So, and then like actually some guy and his son came up and talked to me for a little bit about what we were doing, what our project was. And then like about 5 minutes later, I realized it was Anthony Anderson, the actor, and his
Wow.
son. Yeah, so it was really cool to like see these people that, you know, are Bitcoin adjacent or Bitcoin curious, like coming into the space. I think we'll have more and more of that in 2025. So that was really fun. And I think Nashville, the city, is really fun. But I think as far as like my very, very favorite event was the MIT BTC stuff and Harvard Blockchain. And I think April or March is when they usually do it. You just have like these guys building out like these opcode solutions and protocol proposals, these BIPs. Like the guy who wrote the Lightning paper was there, Taj. The guys who wrote the Opcat BIP were there. And so, yeah, it's really cool to hear those conversations going on because you realize those are the people that are like part of the decision as to what happens with
Pioneers.
yeah. These guys not only like built all these solutions, these, you know, layer 2 solutions like Lightning or things like that, but also like are previous Bitcoin core developers who, you know, have some say and influence in like, where does Bitcoin go? When do we make these improvements? When do we fork the protocol? Do we ever fork the protocol? These kinds of things.
Okay, cool, man. Now, I know I'm sure we can follow you guys on BitLayer, but is there anything else you want to announce before we sign off?
Yeah, I'd say we are going to be sending out that testnet for people to try out pretty soon, the Finality Bridge testnet. So yeah, that will be the first major implementation of a BitVM bridge, which, you know, people have been thinking about since last October. So the cool thing about Bitcoin is people don't really get to influence you or tell you what to do.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask permission. There's nobody to ask permission from. So we're running with this. We're excited about all the options it's gonna unlock for people. You know, Bitcoin is like a $1.5 trillion asset or something like that now, right? Like think about all the entire huge economy that's going to be built out of Bitcoin. So I'd say look forward to that for sure. And then mainnet version 2, Q1. So we've had this EVM compatible layer, which we've built a huge ecosystem based on since April. And we are upgrading that to become the most Bitcoin native version that we can. So definitely look forward to that.
Cool, man. Well, follow these guys at BitLayer and Sky, man. So pleasure.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Hey, what's up?
But it's not something Genzio is afraid of.
If you want to survive, you got to build a hive.
No, we do not understand that we do not want to have. Ladies and gentlemen,
Rebecca's Genzio Media House.
Oswald, thanks so much for joining us today.